What's up everybody, this is Jose from Southern Life. On today's video, we're going to be talking about the state of Arkansas. Is it a good state to move to, and everything that you need to know if you're considering a move to the state. First off, let me say it's a beautiful state to travel through and a beautiful place to explore America. With valleys, mountains, rivers, and some of the best barbecue anywhere that I've had, it is definitely a state that you need to see at some point in your life. However, we're going to review what it actually takes to live in Arkansas, who is moving to Arkansas, where they're ending up, and how they like it there. Names like Bill Clinton and Sam Walton are just a few of the famous people from the state, and we're going to talk about how these famous people have influenced the state and how it shaped the economy and affected the people that live in Arkansas, as well as people throughout the entire world. As far as a store that sells goods, Walmart has the largest revenue of any other store, and it is founded right here in Arkansas, and the wealth that this has brought to some of the people in Arkansas, and in particular, the northwest side of Arkansas, has turned towns in a poor region of the country into places where you'll see things like Ferraris, Maseratis, and Bentleys in small towns scattered through a region of the country that is pretty much considered poor. However, it is also said that to create 3 beautiful towns in Arkansas, Walmart has destroyed thousands of towns across America. Bill Clinton, another figure from the state, has been friendly to the idea of helping people come legally and to establish communities of Latinos in the state, and the chicken plants and other poultry type businesses have brought a huge Latino population to the northwest corner of the state. Once again, a rare accomplishment in a region of the country that is kind of hostile to outsiders. An Pacific Islander community of people from the Marshall Islands who were displaced by the U.S. government, which took their island and turned it for an experimental grounds for earth-changing devices that were used during the Second World Event, which means that the people that are now in Arkansas from the Pacific Islands cannot return to their home islands because they've been completely destroyed, annihilated, or contaminated. So Arkansas is now the new home for these people from the Pacific Islands, and they form part of an area that is very unique for the region of the country. Again, Northwest Arkansas, consisting of Fayetteville, Bentonville, Rogers, and Springville, are different from the rest of Arkansas, which is mostly rural towns, valleys, small little towns with the best barbecue you're ever going to find. But then you have in the northwest corner of the state a different scenario. The people of Arkansas enjoy a slow speed of life with beautiful mountains and large cities that are tourist attractions. Large cities from the perspective of somebody from Arkansas. Hot Springs being one of those places that attracts a lot of tourists and that I consider like a small Miami in the middle of the Arkansas wilderness. So despite being a state known for country settings, there's definitely a lot of fun, enjoyable places to visit. And Arkansas has given the people that live there a balance between beautiful rural settings and all of the urban things we love and enjoy. If you're considering moving to Arkansas, you're going to have to understand that this is still part of the Deep South. And while the state has made some huge advancements that other parts of the Deep South haven't made, it is still a place that has a reputation, a history, and that the people there may still have very delayed mindsets compared to wherever you're coming from, and this can definitely make you feel uncomfortable if you're coming from a bigger place. All the while being a very fun place to visit with so much to offer for those traveling, it really isn't a place you should move to if you're looking to have a lifestyle that's similar to what you're going to have in a big city. And while the people are very tolerant of the tourist who go to visit the state for its natural beauty, if you're thinking about incorporating the state and moving there, you're going to face some distinct challenges in Arkansas. Many people are only guided by the affordability of a state, and they fail to notice some of the state's biggest drawbacks. Just take a look at the states that are around Arkansas. Places like Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Oklahoma. These are not states known for good livability. So overall, this is a region of the country that hasn't really advanced too much. And some of the advancements that have been made, like Walmart and poultry, are very detrimental to some parts of society while benefiting a few in certain ways. And it is true that there are pros and cons to every economical activity. But in the case of states like Arkansas or the more known situation in Texas, where yes, you do have access to a lot of infrastructure, but it comes at the unsightly cost of telephone posts and oil rigs in all directions. In the case of Arkansas, the few economical advancements that have been made there are at the detriment to a lot of other situations. Sometimes the costs that you pay for these advancements are quite a considerable price tag, and the natural beauty of Arkansas is almost uninterrupted in the vast majority of the state. While beautiful and scenic, these are obstacles not only isolating communities within the state from contact with the outside world, but also, if you're traveling across the state, there really are not too many highways that are practical, and the travel that you could accomplish in an entire day in Arkansas is only a fraction of what you would accomplish in another state that doesn't have these geographical features. Not only does that complicate travel if you like to get out of the state into other regions, it also isolates these communities, making the people here have attitudes and mindsets that are kind of separated from the outside world. With this isolation means that the people of Arkansas are not exactly going to have a mindset that corresponds to the outside world. We're not just talking about a difference of opinions, we're talking about livelihood in your community as you're working, as you're going shopping, and doing anything else that involves other people. In large cities like Denver, Colorado, all of the poverty and homelessness is congregated in one single place and visible for everybody to see. In places like Arkansas, there's plenty of backwoods places hidden between valleys and hills for poverty and misery to exist far outside of the view of outsiders. And the more time you spend in Arkansas, the more you'll be able to catch up on the idea that there's a lot more going on in these backwoods than just beautiful views. Many times when you move to a new place, the first few months are like a honeymoon, but after getting involved with the community and getting out and about more, you'll start to discover a few aspects of the place that you perhaps wish you had known before. And many times YouTubers that are promoting a place are realtors, which means they're only going to show you the side of the coin they want you to see, and they're going to avoid the topics that other people are really going to want to know if you're moving to an area. And that's why on our channel, we try to give you a picture that sometimes isn't pretty or nice to hear, but it is accurate and it is insightful, considering that most of the time the people making these types of videos are realtors and they're not showing you the full picture. The state's biggest pro is its scenic settings and refreshing natural views. The state's biggest con is going to be the isolation created by that beautiful geography, that the people there can be kind of cold towards outsiders. The people are generally friendly, very kind, and very helpful. However, if they feel that you're different from them in any type of way, this could definitely be a wall preventing those people from opening up to you fully. If you're going to be moving to the state of Arkansas, I would strongly consider the state's northwest corner, the NWA. The area is far superior to the rest of the state and is going to offer you a better opportunity. However, it's not as great as I was expecting. I expected a place that was much bigger, much more advanced. It is true. There's work, there's businesses, and there's a lot going on in that particular part of the state that's more attractive than everywhere else. But it's not Miami Beach or New York City. And I want you to understand this. We found businesses in this part of the state that you're not going to find in places like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. It is superior to those states in integrating aspects and cultures from other parts of the world. Is it a New York City or a Miami or an Orlando, Florida? Not quite. So it's something like an in-between between the Deep South and the more advanced places. It's not exactly a New York City, but it's definitely better than, let's say, a Montgomery, Alabama. I would probably use the phrase geographically challenged, the state of Arkansas. Everything in its vicinity is the absolute worst, from high teens pregnancy to life expectancy, just about anything that's bad statistically. These are the 7 states: Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Missouri perhaps could be thrown in there. It's just a region of the states that has the absolute worst of everything statistically. The state's southern and eastern half is a complete different story. These places are not scenic. Crime rate is extraordinarily high, and it's almost like if Arkansas were really 2 different states in one single place. So if you're thinking about Arkansas, you better start looking at the state's northwest corner, because the east side of the state and the southern part of the state are just the deep south. Places with crime rates and lawlessness on levels you probably cannot even imagine. While this state is known to have a lot of tornadoes, I think the weather in Arkansas is almost perfect. You get a little bit of everything. The change of seasons. It's not the hottest place. It's not the coldest place. You just get a nice contrast of weather throughout the entire year. Another thing that I really like about Arkansas is that the feedback that I get from the comments, it seems like it's some of the best we've had from any state that we've visited. A lot of states are very hostile, at least in the comment section. And it seems like in Arkansas, the comments have not been to one extreme or the other. They've been really reasonable. They've kind of been enjoyable to deal with and interact with in the comment section. So at least the feedback from Arkansas has been really enjoyable. You're going to find that in most places you go, the people are very pleasant to deal with. You will find, however, that if for some reason you tick them off, they'll cut you off right in the spot. We've had several circumstances in Arkansas where people were being friendly, and then all of a sudden they cut off the conversation. Everywhere you go is going to be different, and Arkansas really does have bad places. And if you're moving to the state, you're already making the effort. You're making the effort to move to a new place and start a new life. I would strongly suggest that you go for the better areas of the state and not end up in some small, scary rural town. Alright, so there it is, the state of Arkansas, everything you need to know before you move.